What the fuck? That's insane. Okay, look. That takes this from a solid, like, 8 out of 10 mount to a bona fide 10 out of 10, those sound effects. That's insane. I love it. I think it's great. I think it's really, really cool. I don't know. Do we still hate store mounts, or are people chill with that now? Are people more chill with store mounts because they, you know, they're like subscription rewards and stuff like that? Is that a thing now? Are we okay with it? Does it fly? Apparently it does indeed fly, yeah, but not in the Dragon Isles, obviously, because it's not a dragon riding mount. It feels, I feel it's unlike anything they've made. Well, so here's the thing. It's well known, if you watch my content, that it was when the cat mount went on the store, and I think that was a 6-month sub as well, the cat mount was very much the moment where I was like, yeah, it's Dragon Isles next. Which is weird, because actually I was right, but for the wrong reasons, because the cat mount had literally nothing to do with the Dragon Isles at all in the end. They didn't have any cats anywhere. But for me, when I looked at the cat mount, I was like, yeah, 100%. Dragon Isles. I can't think it would be anything else now given this mount. Because for me, it just felt like, you know, it came from a kind of magical, you know, place that had been left alone to kind of evolve by itself for a long time, you know, like 10,000 years, something like that. And so this one, and, you know, I'm speaking 1000% with bias here because you know what my kind of like official prediction for the next expansion is. This one is not saying, you know, across the western seas, through the magical storms. It's not saying that. You could argue it's got kind of a Shara, a Naga type saddle here as well, but I don't know. I don't think that's meaningful. Maybe. So I don't know. It's not explicitly saying, you know, beyond the western storms, new continent to me, but it's not saying that. Does that make sense? It's not saying that. Do you think we'll have an expansion announcement at BlizzCon, Tally? Yeah, 100%. I can't imagine that we won't. Yeah, 100%. Those are some nice old god tentacles. Well, I mean, okay, so it could also fit in with a elements kind of expansion. Could be an elements kind of thing, you know, because water and stuff, water and air, right? But there is like a definite kind of Nagri vibe to the saddle. Now that could be because basically anything that has fins on it and is like decorative armor with scales and fins on it is always going to look Nagari, right? It doesn't necessarily mean that it is, I guess. But yeah. Now, I would happily have an underwater expansion or an underwater zone again if they did it properly. And I think the problem with Vashir is that they didn't. It's fine, but people hate water expansions. That's how it goes. People hate watery zones. They just hate it. But what if they introduced something like Dragonriding? Now, famously, Dragonriding is very, very reminiscent of like griffin flying in Guild Wars 2. And Guild Wars 2 famously has like a very like small amount of actual mounts. There's like 6 or 7 mounts and they all work completely differently. And they all have completely different things attached to them as well. What if there was like an underwater kind of version of Dragonriding where it was its own different thing. It was really fast. It was something that was just fun to do by itself. You know? What if there was something like that? Yeah, fish riding. Like, not even a joke. What if there was something like that? Dragonriding has made Dragonflight just much more fun in a moment-to-moment kind of basis. Could you do that with some kind of underwater system? And on top of water system as well. The next expansion. If you really want to go kind of like elemental and have some underwater bits, Or if you want to go Western Storms and go traveling from islands on an Appalachio... What's it called? Appalachio? What's the word? Appalachio? What's it called? Archipelago. Archipelagos. Archipelago? Archipelago. Okay, archipelago? Is that how it's pronounced? It's not how I thought it was pronounced. I don't think I've ever said it out loud before. I've only ever read the word, and it's done that. I've done that thing where I've read the word just a little bit different from how it's actually said. Archipelago. Yeah, okay, cool. So, you know, if you are traversing islands in an archipelago, doesn't sound right. If you tell me that's how it's, I trust you guys. I trust you. If you tell me that's how it's said, that's how it's said. No arguments here. But yeah, I think there is definitely space. And if I was Blizz, I would honestly be thinking of ways that you could introduce another system like Dragonriding. A system that is just like balls out, a fun way of traversal. And something I will tell you is that, in my opinion, Dragonflight, and here's a good start for this kind of thing, right? In my opinion, Dragonflight has the best underwater world quest ever made. Like, in my opinion, Dragonflight down in the Zaralek Caverns has given us the most, like, fun underwater questing that we've ever had. There's this world quest down in Zaralek Caverns where you're underwater, and they get it right. They kind of base it, or instead of the water being something that holds you up and slows you down, which is what it usually is in these instances, instead, the water is like an opportunity for you to have a fun way of traversing. I wonder if it's up right now. I hope it is. It's not up right now, I don't think. You know the one I'm talking about, right? I don't think it will actually be available if it's... I don't think the things will be there if the quest isn't up. But maybe it will be. Let's go and have a look. I think it's over here-ish. It's in like a big body of water, obviously. But I forget where. I'm talking about the one with the grapple points, yeah. It's a fucking incredible quest. It's a really, really good quest. Is it down here, maybe? But that is absolutely, I think, the best underwater quest. So it's not going to be up now, but I'll get there. I'll get to the same... Yeah, it is. It's collecting, like, the Titan artifacts from here. But the things aren't going to be up, which is a shame. Oh, yeah, they are up. Look. So, like, it's this one that works with the grapple points. So, you know, what swim quests usually are is you're swimming around and you're picking up your things. Now, the things to pick up aren't actually here right now. And, you know, sometimes if they're feeling really nice, like the NPC that gives you the quest will give you, like, a bubble around your head so you can breathe underwater and faster swim speed. And that's cool. That mitigates how shit swimming around is, right? And then maybe you got the choice of I can get on my swimming mount, and that's that. And that's all ways of just mitigating the water. What this quest does is, instead of giving you ways to, you know, overcome the disadvantage of being in the water and basically just make it normal, it takes the opportunity to give you these grapples, which actually make going around the space way more fun. Like, the grapples are so cool because there's no cooldown on them. They give you a little speed buff after you've used them. And the range on them is super, super far as well. So the quest is about using the grapple points, basically. And it's really fun. And this is a great example of how, like, they took something which people didn't like, which is underwater stuff, and they just gave us a fun way of getting around. And now I really look forward to this quest. I think it's brilliant. I think it's easily the best underwater quest in World of Warcraft. The end. Simple as that. And it's like a super fun quest. I really look forward to it. So, yeah, it's that there's a slight difference in approach, isn't there? You know, instead of the water being an obstacle to be overcome, and, you know, maybe the game gives us a way to overcome that obstacle, it's actually like they lean into it slightly in a different way and go, oh, there's actually an opportunity to have loads of fun here. You know? Yeah, it's so much fun. Oh, can you show the fish in the water? Good shout. Okay, here we go. The sound effect is like insane. I love it so much. Dragon riding that is set underwater in Vashir, let's go. 100% would be insane to me. Yeah, I think, like, genuinely, I think if they came out next expansion, or you know, in the expansion reveal, and they were like, okay, so with the theme of the expansion being what it is, as you can imagine, a lot of this expansion is going to be set underwater. And the audience will be like, boo, fuck you, Ian, boo, you scum, boo, I knew I hated you, boo, revolution, boo. And he'd be like, so what we've done is we found a way to make that really fun, just like we did with dragon riding. And like, if they introduced a new kind of way of traversing under the water or on the water, which was, you know, not just a thing that moved fast, but had its own kind of like gameplay to it, like dragon riding does, I would be 100% up for that, because they obviously have completely won me over with dragon riding. Absolutely. You know, I had my doubts about dragon riding. For me, dragon riding was the thing that I had doubts about. You know, Torghast in Shadowlands, Warfronts in BFA, and when I heard about Dragonflight, the thing I was worried about was dragon riding. I was like, knowing Blizz, this is just going to be, at best, something that is just, like, pointless. At worst, something that really spoils everyone's fucking enjoyment of this game because it doesn't work and it's rubbish. And it's so, yeah, literally from the moment I tried it, it's so surpassed all of my expectations that, you know, I'm willing to trust Blizz on this one. So if they came out, yeah, and they were like, yo, we're going to do some underwater shit, man. It's going to be cool. And I know that sounds horrible to you. I know you really don't want to, like, that sounds disgusting and you want to leave the game. But I promise you, like, check this out. We've got, like, boats that go on water, and we've got, like, you know, kind of underwater traversal, which we've been working on, and we think you're going to enjoy it. I'd be like, yeah, fucking banging. I'd be like, brilliant. Load me up. That's going to be amazing. Has anyone said anything about what happens to dragon riding in 11.0? I feel like you can't just have people go back to regular flying. No, 100%. And what they'll do is they'll enable dragon riding in the old world, in like the pre-patch or something. And, you know, it'll be a thing. I've got a feeling they might bring, and I think it will have dragon riding going forward. You know, it's just how we're going to fly now. They'll just enable it everywhere. But I think in future expansions, I wouldn't be surprised to see them go back to a Pathfinder for future expansions. You know, them being like, yeah, dragon riding was a thing that you could do right from the very beginning in Dragonflight, because that was the whole theme of the expansion. We do want this to be the way flying works from now on. It's going to be everywhere. But, you know, the dragons aren't used to being out of the Dragon Isles yet, and they're not used to being in this new place. So, got to get Pathfinder right. I thought they were enabled dragon riding today, Kalimdor Cup, only if you're doing a Kalimdor Cup race. If you go out of the track, you'll dismount. Enable regular flying right away. No, I think they'll probably have Pathfinder, but I might be wrong. Look, one thing that WoW is doing really well right now is it is surprising me. Okay, they are always surprising me. Taliesin, what do you think of the world recording the hottest days on Earth? Oh, I think we're fucking up the planet. Yeah. Yeah, I think we're fucking up the planet. I think it's really bad. But and so that's the thing. But I think what they will do instead is they will, you know, we're gonna have Pathfinder for dragon riding, but don't worry, because to be honest, you wouldn't be dragon riding very much anyway, because a lot of this expansion is set, you know, on the open sea or underwater, and we've got a different thing for that. And then they'll like introduce the new kind of like traversal system for underwater and for on water. And it'll be like dragon riding in that it'll be different gameplay and its own thing, and just like, you know, a fun way of traversing the world and doing that thing. And it'll be enabled from the beginning as well, probably, just like dragon riding was. So it'll be that expansion's dragon riding. So dragon riding doesn't have to be that expansion's dragon riding, because it's got a different one. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? It'll be like, yeah, Dragon riding won't come into this expansion until Pathfinder in like 0.1 or 0.2, but we've got a different dragon riding for this expansion, and this is what it is, sort of thing. That's definitely what I would be trying to do if I was Blizz. I'd be trying to think of something that is as fun as dragon riding for traveling like underwater or something. I think that could be really, really cool. If they're not loading, not enabling it, it's set on tracks. I wonder if it's something in the environment loading they'll have an issue. Maybe with loading for multiple players crossing large distances quickly. Maybe. I doubt it in the old world. It might be a bit more complex in like other expansions, but I don't think. I think it's just they're just making it an event. And then they'll have one for Eastern Kingdoms and stuff. And yeah, honestly, I think that's all. We could have a hybrid expansion, part above water, islands and stuff, and pirates, and part underwater. Yeah, 100%. Do you think they would do one system for surface and underwater, or separate? I think it could be separate but linked. Does that make sense? There'll be two different things, but maybe they're on the same progression path or progression tree, something like that. Pure speculation, of course. They could just make a cloud barrier, which make it impossible to fly, so you have to use the ships. Oh yeah, you'd use the fatigue bar, wouldn't you? You could make fatigue go up much, much quicker because you're in a new continent, you don't understand it or whatever. And like, yeah, as soon as you fly like off the coast, fatigue bar starts happening. It's like, time to get on your boat, dudes. You could easily do that. And it's like, yeah, the boat isn't affected by fatigue, right? That'd be cool if they had like a Zarek Cavern type loading thing to go underwater, like a water current. Yeah, that'd be really cool. Yeah, I'd love it. Open Seas Boat Raid. Well, they haven't made the dragon riding raid yet. Let's wait for that first. But yeah, no, I think that's feasible to speculate on. I think, you know, if I was Blizz, and I always try and think like, what would I be trying to do if I was Blizz right now? Yeah, I always kind of think to myself, what would I be trying to do right now if I was Blizz? And if I was Blizz leading up to the next expansion right now, I would 100% be like, we need dragon riding, but different. We need like this expansion's dragon riding, and I think underwater could be the perfect thing. On water and underwater, you can make it feel and play differently to dragon riding, but still be its own fun thing. I think that'd be really cool.